and good morning, everybody. This is George from Valiant, and we're really excited to have our 75th live stream.
Wow.
If you told me in March of 2020, last year, when we started doing these live streams, I would have believed you that we would be doing them this long. Or it was kind of like a pandemic. Like, well, we can't really do all the things we had planned for engagement with our clients and that sort of thing. So, and prospects and just talking to people. So we decided to do this live stream thing. So it's pretty amazing that we got this far, and in such a short time too. Because I think we were in the beginning, we were doing 2 or 3 a week. Oh, thanks, Ray, appreciate that. And good morning. So we're really excited. So in our planning for these, we kind of decided to do a very relaxed episode and more about the fact that we've been on here 74 times, and we've probably never said anything more about ourselves than the fact that we work at Valiant and probably do a lot of computer stuff. So, I guess your mom says, like, when your mom describes what you do for a living, you're like, he works with computers.
Yeah, computers.
We got 2 new families on my block that just moved in, and my neighbor across the street was telling the guy that lives next to him now a little bit about me. And I walked out there a couple of weeks ago to introduce myself. He's like, "So I heard you're the hookup for iPhones." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, Jim told me you own a cell phone company."
Okay.
Might be time to talk a little bit about what we do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, do you own a cell phone company that we don't know about?
I mean, everyone's got a side hustle. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Well, I mean, I tried to register Foxconn, but that turned out to be taken, so I just decided not to.
Anyway, it's very funny. So, but before we dive in a little bit about who we are personally, we're Valiant. We're a managed service provider located in New York. We have clients throughout the country. We do a lot of work in cybersecurity, data protection, collaboration, all sorts of stuff like that. But we're not going to talk about that sort of thing right now. I want to talk a little bit about ourselves. So before I guess I'll go first because I guess I'm the loudest mouth in this place. I'm George Datterman. I'm Valiant's president. I joined the company about 17 years ago, which seems like an eternity to do this for, like, as a just doing it in a life. But before I worked at Valiant, I worked at a large ad agency. I was starting out at changing out PRAM batteries in MacBooks. I don't know if anyone even knows what those are anymore. And to kind of work my way through that. And then about 5 years into that, I decided to throw my hat in the ring here at Valiant with my business partner, Gene, who doesn't really come on these too often, but he's out there now. And we started doing this. We weren't an MS. There was no such thing as MSPs in 2004. So we were, I guess, what you call a VAR or IT consultancy, or they had a bunch of different goofy names for it back then. I don't know. MSP is much better, but so it's just one of those things. I actually, as you know, not one of the founders of the company. It started in 2002 before I joined it. So kind of like the other Beatle. I don't know how to describe that, but it's the thing. But what's interesting is I've done every job in this company, as many business owners do, be it billing, marketing, sales, service work, video engineering. I was working with Matt yesterday on that. That was actually kind of fun. We're actually working on this project to get these videos, make them better and increasing them, and then kind of had that setback because you couldn't get the our DSLR working properly. So it was kind of like, all right, fall back to the regular camera. We got to have the fallback plan. We are paranoid IT people by nature. So we always had working. But my favorite thing actually is working with, part of my favorite part of the job is working with the clients, the VCIO work. That's where I naturally feel most comfortable and gravitate towards. And I had to actually sometimes stop myself from doing it because it's easy to get yourself caught up in it. But I guess on a personal note, things I like to do outside of work, because I'm a big fan of OCR racing. I don't know if you guys know what that is, like Spartan races. I know Mary Ann did one with us a couple of years ago. It was super fun. She hurt herself on the way to the Spartan race, or a couple of weeks before racing.
The day before, when I was training, I fell down on the cracked sidewalk. And on our way into the Spartan race, someone said, "Oh no, I don't want to do it now." And I was like, "No worry, I did that yesterday."
Yeah, exactly. big bruise, and then your knee was all cut up pretty good, and you try
Yep.
to keep a bandage on it, and then you just get muddy.
Does
and wet.
not work.
Everything
Yeah.
just falls off. And you're just kind of like, all right, this is kind of accept the suck of it all. And so,
Yeah.
So
the other thing,
what does OCR stand for?
obstacle course race.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
Oh, I think you're just really passionate about scanning. Okay.
That's
yeah,
what
exactly.
I
Also,
too.
character recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I'm still an IT person. I fell back into using an acronym versus describing the thing you're doing. So,
Mhm.
but it's a fun way to keep in shape, and you meet some really interesting folks and kind of mentally challenging. And the other thing I really have gotten into recently, since COVID more so than anything else, is ultralight backpacking, which is another like infinitely nerdy pursuit of like trying to shave grams out of your backpack. So that's interesting. It's from Mount Whitlock, I think, in Massachusetts. It's really pretty up there. That next one, I think we've gone to, Matt, if you want to throw it, that's Acadia.
So beautiful.
If you haven't been up there, highly recommend it. It's the most visited national park in the Northeast. I think the last one we have there, Matt, is a personal favorite, and I think every New Yorker should do is take a ride up to Hunter Mountain. There's a great view from up there. You're hiking through there, you're doing all this work, and you feel like you're in the middle of the wilderness, like isolated. But get to the top there, and you look, and then 40, 50 miles south is the big city, and it's just beautiful. So it's one of my favorite hikes to do. It's just real challenging and fun. Get there early in the morning though, because a lot of people show up about 11 o'clock. So you want to be there by 8:30. So anyway, I'm going to pass it over to Justin. He's the next one up here.
Sure. I am Justin Penchina. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am Valiant CIO. My role here is a lot of different things, but core, I develop a lot of our projects. I vet the technology that we use that go into our stack, which is the range of services and hardware and software that we work with, and I put those things together into the packages that we provide to our customers. I joined Valiant back in, what was it, 2010, as an engineer, and since then I've worn a bunch of different hats. I've done just about dispatch and tech and some account management and all over the place. And I really like the CIO role because, like George was saying, it's a good combination of the tech and the customer facing work, because it's not just the behind the scenes making things happen. It's also being in front of clients, talking to them about the technology, listening to the problems that our clients have, so that I can put together solutions that are going to work for our customers, not just individually, but across the board too. Things that we can find that work in multiple places that become the best practices.
That was a job that years ago I used to do that job, and Justin does it infinitely better than I ever did.
I learned from the best.
Hardly.
I followed George's footsteps there. So.
No, you did a much better job. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. I grew up around technology. Both of my parents are way into tech. When I was a kid, most of my Nintendo games were ones that they wanted to play for themselves. I remember, I remember going to bed frustrated that I couldn't beat a level in a game and wake up and it was paused on the next level because my mom or dad finished it for me. And we always had computers in the house, Commodore 64, TRS-80. So I was just always felt like a part of my life, that technology aspect. And when I went to school, I was really into cinema studies. I was doing cinema studies and political science as a dual major. And I like the idea of making movies, but I kept getting sucked into the tech portion of it. At the time, like nonlinear video editing, so not just editing with two tape decks and putting stuff together, but actually doing it in a computer system was just becoming affordable for stuff. So I really got into doing that and built a rig for myself out of off the shelf parts that I could afford, but really sort of threw myself into that. Overlapping with that, my mom actually started a web design and marketing company in the 90s, and I did a lot of work there, both when it was just her and was learning, and as it grew into a larger business. And really, between those two things, I kind of gelled that being in a tech field is just where I like to be. And over the years, I mean, I've worked at a hosting company, a contractor for Coast Guard, for different IT providers. Not really an MSP. I don't think they qualified, but I ended up getting hired at Valiant after applying to an ad on Craigslist of all places. We had a mutual client between Valiant and the hosting company where I was working, and I'm pretty sure after the fact I realized that I'd spoken to Nick a bunch of times before I knew who he was, because he worked for that with that client, and I was on the other end. And in my downtime when I'm not doing stuff here, I like cartoons. So I'm a big cartoon fan. I like sandbox style video games. So like Civilization, City Skylines, stuff like that, where it's not really a finish the mission. It's more like a zone out and play with things. And I like documentaries, and I like photography. I try to take just my camera with me when I go places and get pictures of animals, and especially that was Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, right?
Years ago.
Gorgeous. Wow.
And
Oh.
this was a far off and exotic location of the Bronx Zoo.
Nice.
I can't. Oh my God, he's so cute.
Belmont one
Oh,
year.
wow.
I don't remember which race it was. Just one of the races at Belmont. I thought that one came out nice. Yeah, and and that's a little rat running on a branch here in Jersey. Staged though, as a pet rat that we.
I was saying, it's a very clean rat.
Not a wild find, but yeah.
You're really good, Justin.
thank
Those
you.
are such
Great
good photos. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's all I've got for me. I think that's enough for me. So I'll pass it over to Marianne.
Okay. Weirdly, I am like more nervous talking about myself than any of the tech we've talked about in the last 74 streams. I'm Marianne Dobrovolsky. I usually put Marianne Regina because I don't make people say my name, but I am now. So this is how you say my name. It is Dobrovolsky. All those stock images I found. I don't know if that's an actual vole, but yeah.
That bro was really soulfully looking at the camera.
Yeah,
The picture is titled "Good Boy." I was like, "Good boy." Yeah. So Dobrovolsky. I started with Valiant. Oh, well, let's do the math. It would be almost 6.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I started with Valiant, I started as an account manager, which has morphed into the VCIO role.
Mhm.
But about 3 years ago, I moved into the training manager role, which is what I do now. So as a training manager, if you want it really simplified, I'm making sure that people are putting their tech to actual good use and they know how to use it so that they're doing good adoption. My fun way to say that is I'm sort of the engineer to English translator. And that's basically, we do things like security best practices, these live streams. On our YouTube channel, we have a lot of tutorials. We help people with, Gmail and all the whole Google suite and Office 365 and a lot of different things. And I actually find it really fun because I really like the balance between, doing some content creation, but still working and helping clients. Because I love to help people. At the start of my sort of tech career, I mean, when I was 12, I was making my own terrible Angel Fire websites, and I'm sorry I didn't grab a screenshot. I know at least one is still up because I don't know the password. Quick, look it up.
Did it have music on it?
No, but it did have like scrolling things and definitely like the spinning dancing alien, not the baby because that creeped me out.
No,
but.
Yeah, it was creepy then.
Spinning torches were big for about.
Oh
5
yeah,
minutes.
and a counter at the bottom.
Yes,
Yeah, it's the visitor counter.
Visitor counter, yeah.
And I'd sit
It was
and
great.
reload
I learned basic HTML, and that's still in my head. So
Yeah.
But when I got to college, was my first tech job. I was a computer lab aide, which basically I sat in the computer lab. People asked me how to connect to the printer, or would be like, "My computer's broken," and I would just plug it back in. It was the ultimate "Have you tried turning it off and on again" job. And I worked on a webcomic, which I never shared with anyone. I was supposed to be working on my homework with all that spare time, but I was just, drawing and writing, and it was a lot of fun. It was just for funsies, and that I'm also not going to show you because it is as embarrassing as my Angel Fire
Oh,
website.
it's
Sorry.
awesome. If it's the one I'm looking at here, Marianne, it's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
That one wasn't even a complete one because I did color them in.
I like that one. I think
I like it too.
Thank-
Yeah.
Okay,
it
fine.
literally made my day looking at it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to show it to you guys.
And you
then, I'm
drew
sorry.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. It's so
Okay.
good.
I don't have it on my computer, so sorry if Matt, you want to try and upload that not great drawing.
I mean,
Sorry.
yeah. Why don't you talk about some of the other stuff you've got loaded
Okay.
while I get it together?
I bet people are just like, what is this drawing? They're so
Yeah,
it must
it's
be
going to be
amazing.
so underwhelming. But actually, my job prior to Valiant really emphasized for me the importance of tech. I was working at a nonprofit, and credit where credit is due. It's a nonprofit, I understand, but my computer was so slow that whenever I would open a program, I'd have to go and get a tea and come back and be like,
Yeah.
"Is it done yet?" Oh, okay, maybe I'll talk to my desk mate. And I remember my fairy godbrother, the outsourced IT guy, very similar. I mean, he wasn't part of an MSP; he was just like one person, but very similar, sort of not part of the company, but came in. He basically, without writing it down, gave me an extra 512 megabytes of RAM to my computer, which doubled it. And this was not long enough ago where that was a good amount. So, but
Right.
at the same time, it saved my bacon for real. So it really was nice, and I appreciated. I was like, I need to get a place with better tech, and what's better tech than Valiant Technologies?
There you go.
And actually, the way that I found this job was through a friend of Justin.
Yeah.
So that was actually really fun. But except that at the interview, they were like, "Oh, and you know Justin, we love Justin," and I was like,
Yeah.
we
Yes.
are.
Yes.
I'm not a good liar."
To bring
Yeah.
that
So
even
I was
more
like,
full
yeah,
circle.
we're more like Facebook friends. We don't
Yeah.
really,
Even,
uh,
that friend of a friend was from the company I worked at where there was the mutual client. So
Oh yeah.
who
So-
now also somebody from
Yep.
there works at a client of ours. So it's the gift that keeps giving.
We always gotta remember New York's really like a small village that happens to
Right,
have
yeah.
6 million or 8 million people in it.
Yeah.
It's like because especially if you grew up here, you're only in a tri-state area. Like you're only like one step away from knowing somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze you. Like, oh, I went to school with that person, or I know someone that
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I grew up upstate in Dutchess County, which I wouldn't consider upstate, but just for everyone watching, they probably would.
That's like right. That's Canada. That's Canada. at that
Yeah,
point.
well, I went to college in Albany, and we were like, we're Center State. What are you talking about? So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then so I guess in my downtime, I do love doing having my own little projects. I mean, like I mentioned the webcomic that I used to do, but I'm writing. I like playing video games, and I'm actually trying to write one right now. I'm making like a little really
cool.
easy like dating sim. It's just like choose your own adventure and building points, and it stars a Swamp Thing protagonist. So it's
That sounds
going through high school as you do in a dating sim. So that's really fun. And I run an Etsy shop talking about side hustles. It's primarily graphic tees that I design. I am waiting on my vegetable garden to bear fruit. It's not going good. I planted a bunch of corn and only one is up to my knee. And I did get like 3 beans, though, so that was good.
Right.
Nice.
And I'm also a nationally ranked skee ball player. I'm the captain of my skee ball team. And when I say nationally
Wow.
ranked, I mean I went to nationals and came in last place. So.
Does that have
That's
anything to
still-
do with your last name?
No, it does not. But they did try and make us. They wanted our skee ball team name to be the Dobrvolskis, and I was like, people can't say that. So we've had a bunch of names that were puns, but the last one we ended up settling on is Skikachu.
Oh, cute.
That was my
We did
favorite
it
one.
while at the height of the Pokemon Go revolution. So
Right.
Pokemon will never be irrelevant. Like that's
yeah.
Yeah.
really good.
plus we can be like, this is our mascot. It's a little Pikachu.
Mhm.
How about some of the photos that you posted here? We didn't get to those.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So then I'm also a huge geek. So let's talk about how I like cosplay. This is me at New York Comic Con, the most recent one that was existing, and I found a bunch of awesome cosplayers. But I was there. I was as Ray.
Mhm.
I do like hiking. So, George, I went to Harriman State Park. And I can't do the ultralight because I need to have a ton of water, and the amount of water I have is at least 8 pounds. But pretty much everything else, it's like, I don't need real food, that sort of thing. Yeah, and I think that was mostly it. Yeah, about me. So.
Nice.
Right. Awesome. Thank you, Marianne.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I'm really nervous too. I don't know what this is like. But yeah. Marianne, also great Ray costume. I just wanted you to know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So I'm a sales associate at Valiant. I work very closely with George. And sorry, my pronouns are she, her. I forgot to say that.
I think I forgot mine too. My pronouns are she, her. Yeah.
And I put mine.
That was smart.
To not forget, but alas. So I'm a sales associate. I work closely with George. I've been at Valiant for about 18 months. So yes, if you do your math correctly, 4 months before the pandemic is when I started at Valiant, which I count as like fate intervening and giving me just a wonderful job and team and the ability to work from home. So like, I just want to say that first off. I got really lucky to work here during that time and during the time we're in now. I have a theater degree, which is why I try to focus on enunciating, although sometimes it's incredible how little I do. And I actually moved to NYC 5 years ago this August to go to an acting program, and I still do comedy and writing and see a lot of shows while I'm here. But before Valiant, I worked in retail, and I worked in Soho, and I did that for about 3 years, supporting myself. And retail is like a crazy schedule; it's shift work and all that. And I wanted something just more stable. And I love talking to people and I love connecting, but I wanted to sell something that was really of value to people. And I think at a certain point, it's like with clothing, even though I really liked it, I was sort of like, I just want to go into a field where it's a real value to people and there's growth for me as well. That's kind of that was my goal. And then I interviewed with George and Justin. It was a wonderful interview. And I started at Valiant after that. And it's been great ever since. And it's funny because I just know the types of people who really need a lot of help on their computers because that's me. So sometimes I'll be like, I'll just realize how little I know about computers, but also, I mean, now I know a lot because I've educated myself a lot. But yeah,
you've done a lot of work in that. I mean, it's been great to see.
Yeah, so. It's been really interesting to like gain the knowledge, and just also like how vital it is to understand how our technology works and to put the proper things in place. Again, like I like working with people and selling something that is going to make their lives better and their information safer, and that's what we do here at Valiant. Yeah, I'm actually certified. IT Fundamentals CompTIA certification. So I never ever thought I would have that. I never thought I would go into IT, but that's kind of the beautiful thing about life. That's the beautiful thing about New York. You just like find different paths, and they help you support yourself and grow. So that's my Valiant journey. And in my off time, like I said, I still write, I still perform, and I just love. This sounds really corny, but it's really true. Over the pandemic, I fell in love with New York City outdoor spaces. I'm not from here, so I think that's like there's an extra like just romance to it. Coney Island, if we want to. You guys know that famous spot. Love it. You just have to get off the train and get through that one block, and then it's beautiful.
Magic.
It's magic. Yeah.
It's magic. It's a great, crazy place.
I know, and
it's fascinating.
And I know it's fascinating, and it never loses its magic. I don't know what it is. And then Prospect Park as well is one of my favorite places. Just to run. It's a really wonderful place to like run and see New York City life. And I've last fact that I didn't put in here, but it's really important. I have 2 cats. That should tell you everything you need to know about me. And Matt, do you wanna tell us a little about yourself, the man behind the curtain?
Oh well, it's hard for me to shut up, so this is going to be a good one. Yeah, when we kind of like talked about this idea last week, it was a little bit of a filler because I didn't want to start our next kind of topic until July, and it became like, hey, you know what? We have done this 74 times. Let's tell people a little bit about who we are, and it kind of changed in my head, especially as I've been listening to you guys. I think that we all have these journeys that led us to be where we are today, and there's a lot of things that we've experienced that have kind of contributed to the experiences that we've had and the points of view that we have and our desire to help people. I think that's at the root of everything that we do. And I'm sitting here kind of thinking, what am I going to say? Yeah, of course, we've got these lists that we put together so we would have something to talk about. But yeah, let's switch things up a little bit. So yeah, I'm Matt. I'm Valiant's creative director. And when I get asked what that means, because it's not a term you see that much in the industry, I just tell people I do marketing, but I also make things unnecessarily complex. And then it all kind of makes sense. And coming here was interesting. I mean, I've had a relationship with Valiant for over a decade now, since 2010. I've known about the company. I started in IT at a young age, just like Justin. I grew up in a very creative and technically inclined family. I had the TRS-80 as a kid. My father worked at Raytheon, and old machines that got decommissioned would come my way. And I had an Apple II Plus that I set on fire when I was like 10. I haven't played Zaxxon since. It's just traumatic. But that all led to the work that I do today. I ran IT departments for 15 years, and very much like Marianne, the beginning of my career was at a nonprofit, the National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship, and that was a pivotal moment. Not only did it help me figure out what I wanted to do, but they gave me the resources needed to learn. Microsoft was one of our donors, and I ended up getting my MCSE for 2000 and 2003 and a bunch of other kind of tangential certs when I was there. And Hewlett Packard was one of our donors, and I got to tell you, getting a phone call saying, "What do you need?" and just being like, let me get like 5 DL380s. Saying it as a joke is like a 21-year-old, and then seeing 5 servers appear like 3 days later. That's how you learn. That was incredibly lucky. I did that for quite some time, and then moved into the world of publishing. I ran IT and digital media departments for Latina Magazine and Lifestyle Mirror and a bunch of other fashion lifestyle kind of like brands, which is a lot of fun. But I don't think you really get the chance to help people. You're putting shoes on display. You're talking about cultural events, but not necessarily most enriching ones, and I kind of got to the point where I wanted to be able to help people again. Wasn't too sure what to do. And then I got a random email from one of Valiant's former partners. And it wasn't even like the normal check-in. It was like, "I haven't heard from you in 6 months. Are you still alive?" And I said, yeah, man, I'm here. What's up? What do you want to talk about? And we just started going back and forth. And then a few days later, I got invited to the office and I met George for the first time. That's right. And I got to meet Justin. And I'll tell you, I remember meeting you in the computer lab on the 5th floor. Yeah. And one of our other coworkers and I were talking, and we were talking Active Directory. I think it was just kind of like that, figuring out who I am kind of a thing. What do you know? What do you not know? And I remember being like, yeah, AD is great, but I'm not going to run that for personal infrastructure. I'm running Open LDAP, blah, 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 blah. And you just turned around and we locked eyes and I wanted to give you a hug. It was like, I'm home. Yeah.
Like a weird rom-com.
It was a scene from, if we had a samurai sword and a bag of Doritos, it would have been a reenactment of a scene from Step Brothers. And I joined the company as a developer at first, and got to build user interfaces for some cloud-based applications for business continuity. And I think just with time and my own kind of interests, kind of making their way into the workplace, George was like, "Do you want to take a?" What happened? Where'd Megan go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's Megan? Too much.
I'll make sure to put you back in.
It's entirely too much story.
She's done with this.
Yeah. She's heard enough of me.
Yep.
And then kind of gave me the chance to take a crack at marketing. I had done some branding work earlier, and we've always had really great conversations around ideas, and that's what led to the work that I do here. And of course, the pandemic led to things like the live stream. So it's great to work at a company where you not only get to work with really great people, but also get to help folks and help them do things in ways that are more efficient, more secure, and going to help them reach their own goals at the same time. And that's a lot of fun. So much fun that, and this is, I'm literally blaming George for this by giving me the opportunity. But, you know, I get a lot of flexibility to do things here that I normally wouldn't have done in another place. Even if I was in a similar role, this wouldn't have happened. And, you know, that led to a lot of getting to know the MSP community. And that's a really cool thing to do, because I've never seen an industry with a community as vibrant and opinionated and active and welcoming as this one. And that's led to a lot of the stuff that I do these days outside of Valiant. And in fact, yesterday, George was on the first episode of my new IT marketing show, Copy, Reboot, Delete.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun to do. And I mean, those are the kinds of things that I think are indicative of the folks that work at Valiant. We all have passion in very different areas, but do have this common thread of technology and wanting to do things right. And wanting to shave our heads. Justin, you're looking good today, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice. Finally got it taken care of. Yeah.
Aerodynamic.
Like 10 pounds lighter on your head. Cooler.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of Marianne's water, just like right on his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got here. And I mean, it's just a stop on a larger journey that I think was going to continue at Valiant for a long time, maybe in different ways as time goes on, as things grow and change, and we come up with other wacky ideas, live streams. Who knows? Maybe there's an IT game show next. Could you imagine like the Wheel of Fortune, but it's like IT?
Okay, one of my favorite sayings is don't wait for Gandalf to come and take you on an adventure. Be Gandalf. So coming soon, Valiant Game Show. Valiant Technology Game Show.
I've always wanted to be a game show host.
Justin, you are uniquely situated. Your puns are always at the fingertips.
Yep.
So.
Oh, I didn't even.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray. He is good. He is the hype man. Yeah, absolutely the hype man.
I didn't even read the comment. I just saw Ray's face on it. I was like, it's good to go. Boom, out.
That's great.
Oh, Ray's a member of the MSP community. And I mean, honestly, seriously, thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jonathan Crow. Those are the two folks in the community that really kind of pulled me in. You know, you're going to be a part of this. You're going to talk to these folks. You're going to have a great time. And it is a great time. It really is. And it's an enjoyable job to do. And I think a lot of the times when you think IT, you think hiccups, roadblocks, multiple cell phone clips on belts, and making copies. But that's not us. You know, we're a people first company because we're people too. Right. And that's really what this whole stream was about. And it was fun to sit here and listen to everyone's stories. And honestly, look, we all have worked together for at least a year and a half, right? At a minimum. In some cases, 5 or 6 years. And Monday was my 5-year anniversary from like officially signing off. Wow. You know, and it's really been a long time. And it's nice to have these moments and share them with the audience that we have to just kind of, you know, express who we are. It's not just, sometimes we're someone typing behind a screen and we're just like the 3 dots on your screen letting you know we're going to say something. But there's a lot more to us. There's more than the 2 dimensions that you see off of a flat screen. Oh, that was good because they were actual flat screens. They're actually flat. And so that's my piece. I'm going to share a couple of photos really quickly because I did say I was going to take the stream over and mention that there would be shrimp. So let's do that. When it comes to interests outside the office, I've reconnected with aquatics over the past couple of years and have really jumped into doing super vibrant little nano tanks with very specific species of plants and animals. This is one of the tanks I've been working on in preparation for a merger that you'll eventually see behind me on camera once I finish my home office. And one thing you'll see about my tanks is I love having pops of red. Not always the easiest thing to do. You have to have a lot of iron and boron and other substances in a tank for that to happen properly. And that could, you know, unfortunately kill animal life. So it's about keeping everything in balance, you know, managing, looking for risks, mitigating risks, monitoring situations, and making the right proactive adjustments to ensure continuity. You see where I'm going with this?
I think we got it, Matt.
And in doing so, I do have little creatures that are beautiful. Look at this little guy. His name's Raider Dave. Raider Dave. And this is Jeff. He's a little guy, little snail. And of course, the shrimp gang. We can't forget the blue shrimp. Right. They're gorgeous.
So pretty, yeah.
And to take it one step further, last night I took this photo, and it's the first Bacopa bloom out of one of my aquariums of the summer. So that plant's growing up and out of the water and then blooming with these flowers. So, it's much more than just having some goldfish in a tank. There's a lot of complexity and quite frankly, science behind it. But at the same time, now that I have these shrimp, I can do things like Scream Shrimp Gang, and it actually makes sense.
Yeah,
So
not to alienate
more...
goldfish owners out there. You guys are all great too.
You
may need to partner with an expert if you need, to go further.
Exactly. Shrimp level.
And this has been a hobby since I was like 8 or 9, starting with the goldfish, and my parents going, "We're going to get you this feeder goldfish and show you that you can't take care of a pet." And here we are, like 30 years later. I mean, I've got one tank that's been running since 1998.
That's incredible.
This is legitimate passion and something that I love doing. And the idea of achieving balance, I think, is something that applies to a lot of the work that gets done at Valiant too. So I like that it's, there's a little bit of a similarity, even though there couldn't be more different. In fact, who wants machines next to water? I mean, they literally could not be more different. There are those common threads, and I think that's why it's such a fun hobby. It's rewarding too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Matt. This is great. Well, thanks for putting us all together. I really appreciate everyone kind of opening up a little bit and kind of talking about themselves and things that are important, outside of work.
Actually, hey, one last thing. If each of us could just quickly repeat the last 4 digits of our social security cards, that'll wrap things up.
I actually have my whole card right here, so I can just show it.
It's not a terrible idea. It could possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
I don't have that memorized. Can I just give you my credit card number?
Yeah, exactly.
That's to identify my.
That's fine. Just text it over. No big deal.
Don't forget your mother's maiden name while you're at it as well.
Mother's maiden name. Yeah.
It's very good. So anyway, well, thank you very much, everyone, for this. And next week we'll be back to our kind of more technical focus. We have a whole month of July focused on infrastructure, kind of the underpinnings of it all, and the kind of thing that not everyone loves, but we get excited about. So, like many things. So starting at the bottom and working our way up. And it's gonna be really fun. I think it's kind of go back to the basics. And once again, really appreciate everyone's watching this and feedback and thoughts. And thank you, Ray, for jumping on and just giving some comments. Really appreciate that. And all the other regular viewers. So check us out on YouTube, like and subscribe it. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and kind of normal social. And check us out at thevaliantway.com. And thanks a lot, everyone. And have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Bye.